Hi, here we go. Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. Today, my guest is Karen Finlayson from Body Need Online, the head coach and director. And I know that you had a massage business prior to that, so I'd be really interesting to, I guess, delve into how you got into the industry, but what your journey has been, to where we are today.
Okay, so what have we got? Half an hour, right?
It doesn't matter. I mean, it depends how much time you've got, but I'm not rushed.
All right, it's a big journey, that's all.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Let's go.
Okay. Well, so I guess I got into this world a bit like you, a bit later in life.
Yeah.
So I was in my late 20s when I came back from my big OE, and that's when I decided to choose massage as a kind of entry into this world, more because it just seemed to be actually the quickest diploma I could do, so the quickest certification I could get of something.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, that might just open up this world. I was thinking maybe osteopathy, maybe naturopathy. I was kind of had these ideas in my head. And then, so massage, I turned up, that was cool. And I loved it, and absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. And definitely headed down into the sort of sports direction, ended up doing my sports diploma. Back in those days, I think that was an 18-month diploma all up. So it's very exciting. You could get it done and you could be out there working straight away.
Yeah, good.
And then, that, I guess, that just, it's just the journey, isn't it? That led me on my journey through massage, into sports massage, into endurance sport, supporting athletes. I kind of fell in love with working with runners and marathon runners and triathletes and things. And then as that progressed, my interest in rehab grew, because I was finding that what I was dealing with was, a ton of, I was kind of just patching people back together again.
Yeah.
Felt a little bit like I was the ambulance, at the bottom of the, not so much the ambulance, but and that kind of relationship started to get to me a little bit, and I wanted to learn more and more about how you could prevent the injuries happening. And particularly if you think of endurance athlete injuries, a lot of them are from alignment issues and weaknesses more than tightness, and with massage we're sort of unwinding things. We're not, and I started wanting to strengthen things, because I could see this clear correlation between these injuries that were coming in, and these people just needed to, they needed core strength, they needed hip strength, and so started my little journey of learning more and more about that, and that led me to meet an amazing woman. I don't know if you know her, Ree George. She was Rio Hagen at the time. She's a very interesting coach to talk to, been around a long time. And she was doing physio Pilates at the time. And so, and I don't know if you sort of think back to, this is the early 2000s. There was this kind of break in physio where a lot of physios went into Pilates as a way of doing more movement rehab, and rather than sort of the real basic physio stuff that was going on. So we got on really, really well, and I worked with a lot of her clients. She sent a lot to me. I sent heaps of people to her. And then I decided I wanted to do a lot more. I wanted to learn what she was doing. So, so that led me to Pilates.
Okay. Then, Stott.
Initially I studied actually with Ree, and she came on board to the business at that stage. So that's when we first added physio into the massage business.
Right. Yes, because I saw it evolving. There was lots of stages. I want to ask you more about that, but so carry on.
So bear in mind, it's been since 2001 when I started. So 20 years. So Ree came on board to the business, brought physio into the business, and Pilates with that. And then she created an in-house program that taught all of us massage therapists to do, and it was Polestar based at the time.
Right.
So that was my first training. It wasn't official certification, but she ran it very officially. She did a great job. And that was designed to marry up with our massage, hands-on stuff. So and then that developed, and then as the years went on, Pilates became bigger and bigger. And then I did move into STOT. I then
Right.
certified into
Gotcha.
with the mat, STOT mat,
Mm-hmm.
and which was awesome. And then I guess, you know, that got me more and more into the movement world. And then that movement world as well, I discovered that it only went so far, and I
Sure.
started wanting to complete the picture. You
Yeah.
know, to me, Pilates and yoga is kind of similar. They create kind of a baseline of strength, like endurance strength,
Yeah.
core and kind of deep strength, but they don't take you that next level.
Mm.
And so that was my next journey, was into where do we go from here? And
Sure.
yeah, I went via a whole different world than kind of what maybe you and the people listening have done.
Sure. Yeah, it's good to hear.
I guess I've never really followed the way things are supposed to be done. I think to go around backwards.
Bit of a rebel.
Yeah. I got into started researching. Actually, I was at CrossFit at the time, so I was doing my own training of moving into more strength work. So I was
Yeah.
learning quite a bit from the world of CrossFit, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that also led me to some concerns around kind of pelvic health and stuff. And perhaps it was just things coming from a Pilates rehab background, I had that front of mind anyway with heavy lifting, and just I was in my early 40s, I was kind of unsure of things.
Yeah.
And that led me to Katie Bowman.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've heard of her.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, read a book and listened to many. Yep, she's good.
Yeah. And she changed my life in terms of movement. She just completely blows my mind.
Yeah.
So that was my early 40s, and I fell in love with her. And we even had her over here to she took a course. She came to New Zealand. Yeah.
Damn, I wish I'd been there.
Yeah, it was amazing. Honestly, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, just her outlook, I guess from thinking this really narrow way of thinking about movement being fitness, hers is just to explode your mind and realize that movement for a human movement is everything, and it's so important, and it's so much more and so much greater than just fitness.
Yeah, totally.
And then that led me, because the struggle there was, I wanted to drink the Kool-Aid and do everything like Katie, but she had no certifications or anything. So,
Okay.
but that led me very easily to Movnat.
Yes.
So Movnat, natural movement training, but the brand Movnat, Erwin LaCour. That's where I certified. So I did that. So 5-6 years ago when I did my first certification, and then I also hosted the second one at Body Need at the time at the studio.
Right. Yeah.
So that was cool. I had a coach, Kimberly, come over from the States to do that. So I didn't get I'm cert level 1. Movnat's really hard.
Yeah, I know the name, but I really don't know much about the content. I'm keen to know more about Movnat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I guess it kind of takes in a sense of to look at what you're doing, it's a little bit like parkour outside.
Yeah. Okay.
Think about the whole premise of parkour is that it's about getting over things, up things, around things. It's moving in your environment.
Sure.
And Movnat is the principles of human movement in our environment.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily doing it outside, and I don't much, to be fair. But it's just looking at all the principles of human movement and becoming strong and mobile to be able to do human things. So locomotion, walking, running, manipulation, lifting, throwing, carrying, and I guess and climbing.
Yeah.
And that was the area that I was in. That was the area that I didn't pass in my level 2. So because there's a lot of requirement, you're basically doing the Movnat version of a muscle up, and you've got to do it times. So. And that's kind of like when you're talking Movnat, it's like, well, the muscle up movement is really if you were to climb up a cliff, and then you had to get yourself up, that would be the muscle up and over.
Sure. So, crikey.
Yeah. the real world.
Yeah. So many cliffs to climb in Auckland.
Exactly. So Movnat, it was awesome. It's so cool. It's kind of fun. It's like being a kid again. You're doing all this exploratory movement and things, and so that was that, I guess, taught me, or I learned more of a strength-based kind of movement versus Pilates and even Katie Bowman, which were kind of quite low-level types of movement.
Yeah.
And Movnat stepped me into a world of understanding more building strength.
Yeah.
And then, I guess with that, all through this time, we had our studio. So the studio built up on the massage studio in Cromer Road. I think that might have been when we first met. Maybe it was before then. I don't know.
Near, is that by close to Vic Park?
Oh, was it way back then?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, we moved up just at the time of the crash, the big 2008.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Moved from there stupidly, went into a massive big villa on Cromer Road.
Right. I remember that happening. Yes.
Yeah. That was the point where I had something like 17 staff. I can't believe that was the biggest, it was this homunculus thing.
Yeah.
So that was mostly massage therapists and physios.
Okay.
At that stage. And then so as my journey moved, so did the business journey.
Yeah.
And this was just, it was a learning, I guess. We were in this massive big villa and we were paying per square meter, and we were paying for, ridiculous things like enormous wide villa hallways. And it was my learning of that stage, I guess, was understanding that business comes down to, you can be, what was coming in over the top. There was hundreds of thousands of dollars. We were making tons of money, but we were making no profit at all.
Yeah.
And in fact, we were heading down, and our costs were just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So not only our staffing costs, but one of the fundamentals, which is, our lease overhead.
Sure. Yeah.
Location. Yeah. So that was a fiercely hard lesson.
I bet.
And we moved from that up to the studio on Maidstone Street, and that was kind of like my dream space.
Yeah. Okay. More custom set up for better use of space, more usable square meters. Yeah,
exactly. We had it designed exactly what we needed. We had no more than we needed.
Right.
Everything was it was a cute little studio. Exactly what we could make profit out of.
Sure. Yeah.
So
size of the team shrank. Did you have less services in the new premises?
No, we kept the same. At that stage we were massage, physio, and Pilates.
Right.
And we kept that same combination as we moved. We were always sort of very focused on being this kind of multidisciplinary type space.
Yeah.
But even that morphed as I morphed.
Yeah. That's usually the way, isn't it?
Well, it's your own business, and we moved. So when we moved in there, we put in treatment rooms. I think we had 4 of them, and then we also had a studio space.
Yeah.
And then after about 3 years, we actually pulled all the rooms out bar one. Pulled right into, turns pretty much 100% into movement.
Yeah.
By then we were doing classes and more strength. This is, so the Movnat training had come through for me, and we were doing the type of training in our classes as well. And I brought on board personal trainers and things like that. So just kind of morphed into primarily movement, and we always had physio, but always had 1 physio or 2.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I guess from there I went, that introduced personal trainers into the business at that stage, and that was when I started learning. So I actually swapped. I had a great PT, and she was an awesome coach with us, Ali Harris, and very well trained. She very good at ticking all her boxes. She got us up to speed in a sense.
Nice.
This is something I've always done. I've always brought on the people that know the stuff.
Smart. Yeah. Surround yourself. Yeah, with the right people. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm never one for ticking boxes too much. So I had to make sure that other people got us sorted. So for physio, for instance, I brought physios on board. They organised and ran it. They brought us
Yeah.
our certification, made sure that we were in the right,
Yep. Yep.
running the right business.
Yep.
And the same with personal training. So Ali came on board as head coach. And then what we did together is, oh, sorry, there goes my dog. Just a moment.
Is it walk time?
Back upstairs. Come on, you call him this? Yeah. Right, sorry.
Sorry, I just paused it, but we're good. We're good. Hey, that's the nature of lockdown, isn't it? Everything happens at once.
Yeah. There's obviously some other bad dogs walking past or something. I don't know. Yeah. So once with Ali, I actually worked with her. We sort of swapped. So my background was still very strongly rehab focused. So in terms of the personal training I did, it was more rehab training. And what I learned from what we did is we sort of swapped. So Ali taught me personal training a la the proper, strength and conditioning way.
Mm.
And I taught her rehab. So we both kind of grew out of that, which was awesome. So, and that taught me an understanding of, kind of periodization and things like that in terms of working with people. And yeah, that kind of gets me to now. So, and what I'm doing in a sense. And nutrition came in along the way, as it does.
Yeah. So I do want to touch on nutrition as well, because it's obviously a big focus of yours. Going back to the body need massage days, did you say, I think you might have already answered this without actually answering it, but did you have someone in the background that you were picking the brains of as the business grew, and mentor type person? Was there someone who you could bounce ideas off and those sorts of things?
100%.
Right. Yeah, I got that impression.
Yeah. Yeah, all through. I mean, as soon as I started in business, I had mentors in different ways. Like I think my first mentors were more around like personal growth.
Right.
And that one, it could have been just kind of where things were in the early 2000s. I don't know, but I think it was something I needed myself as well.
Yeah.
And then they became more business focused mentors as the business grew, and my needs changed and grew as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And did you find those through connections you already had, or did you go looking for certain sort of people?
I mean, at the time, I think I met a lot of people initially, because I also did a lot of networking. I think this is when we met, was in those days, BNI was a thing. And I think when I realized I wanted to be in business, I thought, well, now I need to put my, my big kid hat on, basically, and grow up. And accept that by being in business, I had to, there were other things that I wasn't necessarily going to know. And there weren't things that I was taught at massage college. You're taught to be a massage therapist, but you're not taught to be a business person. So BNI right back then was awesome. I actually still have the same accountant. I had the same lawyer, an employment lawyer from way back then, all the way through as well until we closed the studio. And made those connections with various people. And that, I think, was where I met quite a few of my early coaches.
Got you. Yeah, it's a great environment to put yourself into, isn't it? And amazing what talent is out there when you expose yourself to a few different groups. Yeah,
absolutely.
So back to the nutrition thing, because I was just digging through your profile on LinkedIn, and I was really curious. I was really curious by where the location of where you studied. So, I mean, I don't think you actually went there, but it is somewhere in the Netherlands. Is that right? And I struggled to pronounce Wageningen. I don't know.
Online.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, bear in mind, I'm not a nutritionist by any means. So sort of just, it was, my move into nutrition and weight management, weight loss, was when, oh gosh, I'm just thinking, it was probably 2018, and I actually worked with an American company at the time. So I think things were morphing a lot more online, and they were a US company, and it was I don't know, yeah, there was those things where they set up everything common almost for you, but you then ran the program. So this was sort of like a 6-week challenge.
Right.
And what that led to, it was such a great concept, and the plan, the sort of the nutrition, the focus, I mean, everything just basic macro focused, portion control, really. And it was whole foods. And so it was just like, well, cool, this is just really basic food. And that taught me an understanding, really basic understanding at that stage of macro focus. And I did it myself, and I lost weight and I felt great. And then I ended up realizing that, so who designed this was a coach, Dr. Trevor Casey,
Right.
and he's from the States as well.
Okay.
And he was had his own coaching nutrition business. And so I thought, well, I'll go to the horse's mouth and
Nice.
And I started coaching with him.
Yep.
And I actually had one of his staff, Ben, who was my coach. And that process was huge for me, because I then, through doing it myself, I started tracking and understanding macros and working with Ben. And he was great in that, it was a learning process as well as my own personal process. So that was, I think I was with them for about 18 months. And then within that time last year, I thought, no, I'll just see what I can do online to brush up on kind of the back of my nutrition, the old stuff that we did right back when in 2000, the sort of physiology side of things. And that would be my first support. So I just got it online, I went online, found something that looked good, that was doable in a 6-week period, I think it was. And it was great. Actually, it was really awesome. And it's got me to the point where I'm thinking maybe I might do a bit more. I know there's a great sports nutrition course here in New Zealand. Be aware of it. So I'll see. It's a case of kind of time and money, really.
Yeah, of course. And so that's obviously it's had a big impact on your own health in terms of your, as you say, you lost weight. And how much did you do? Do you mind me asking what you lost?
In total, 12 kgs.
Wow.
And
fantastic.
Very much a morph of body composition, probably more than anything.
Yeah. Well done. Massive learning though, isn't it? Right. You know what it's like to, you have felt the process, so you've got that full empathy with clients. And unless you've been through a process yourself, it's hard to have that full understanding of, if you've never been overweight, how can you help someone who's overweight, sort of thing, which isn't necessarily true, but it makes it easier.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm still, it's still there was so much of the head game going, in terms of there was so much learning around my thoughts and thinking and emotions, and it's still going on. Like I still really struggle with certain areas, and I I'm aware of it, and I know it. So I really understand how this is, but particularly for people who are similar to me, and also just understanding that not everybody's the same, but a good deal of us are. I'm sort of in that fairly high food susceptibility range where, I'm the child that, put the chocolate in front of me and I'm going to eat it now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Rather than too later.
Yeah, totally. And, there's a huge number of us, and it is really hard world to live in because it's just it's everywhere,
Everywhere.
And then well, as that's kind of more recently that was in my early 40s, and I wouldn't really understand too much about perimenopause or the changes I got. It wasn't even on my radar back then. Apparently it should have been. And now at 49 it's definitely on my radar. So there's that real understanding of what's happening now for women, and apparently perimenopause is hitting earlier now for women too. So that transitional change, and so that's, I guess that's kind of led to where my main focus is with women over 40 now.
Sure.
For me, it's an area, and I understand, and I'm also seeking to understand more.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So what does the business look like now? I mean, I know it's Body Need online, so I'm assuming that you see all your clients online, or do you still see some in person, or a combo?
So yeah, last year we closed the studio, and yeah, what we're doing, what we have been doing this year, when I say we, it's pretty much just myself, and I have a business partner, Caro,
Mm,
who she is sort of digital marketing
mm,
side.
mm.
So there has been a in-place location-based business, and so that's me training clients here in my little studio.
Yeah.
And also we've been running just a minimal amount of community classes. So
Ah,
we kept sort of a baseline of the people that used to come, and it's primarily our older people because they loved it. They love the community side of it, and so
mm,
we've sort of got a really tiny member base, and they're very committed, and they come. We go to Ponsonby Community Centre and
great.
have, a couple of coaches that help me with those classes.
Yeah.
And then I do a kind of a minimal amount of personal training and nutrition coaching.
Yeah.
So just I run not too many so that it doesn't fill me up too much.
Yeah.
And the rest of the year, the rest of the time till now has been building our online present business so that we can launch. And we are literally just now launching globally.
Wow. Good stuff.
Mm. Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. It's scary, and it's been taking a really, really long time. Like,
Okay. Okay. Getting the ducks in a row. So,
yeah, and I mean a lot longer than we thought it was. We were thinking Easter.
oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when you say launching internationally, will you be managing it from here, or does that mean you have representatives elsewhere as well? What's the model?
So the idea is to create. I mean, I guess the what I've been running, the sort of the 6 week challenge. It was so successful, and it's so consistently successful. The concept of it.
Mm,
I've modified the nutrition component and kind of the whole structure and things,
mm,
but it's formed because it's just been one of those things that's kind of like I guess I won't say the magic pill, but even the basis of it has consistently keeps working with women over and over, and particularly
mm,
women over 40, and we get such great feedback on it, and it's also something that it's become a lifestyle change for so many women, and those are mostly the women that continue on, that are still coming to see me.
yeah.
So we wanted to take that concept and make it so that we could take it to a bigger community.
Sure.
And to do that, we had to automate it.
Yeah.
So what we've developed is an 8 week transformation program,
Yeah.
and that is all automated. So what my part in it will be regular. We'll do weekly Zoom calls with everybody, not individually but group
Yeah.
calls,
Yeah.
and so we'll take our first kind of group. We'll take on board. Will probably be maximum about 50 people,
Right.
and then because this will be a little bit for us of testing how it works.
Mm, mm, mm.
But so the platform that we've built has been, it's like a member hub, and so
Yeah.
there's just the ton of stuff just to get it to the basics. Has been a ton of videos and
Mm.
videos and videos and
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
And then it's all within that platform. You've got the nutrition, you've got exercises. So I've got all the exercise videos that I filmed last year, and then each week I'm coaching on various aspects as we go through the 8 weeks, which are reflective
Gotcha.
of what I normally coach with people face to face.
Got you. Got you. Okay. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting. And scalable, right? You can get that scale that you're looking for.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So
Yeah.
it's a case of round one will be
Mm,
testing,
mm,
and then once we've got the product really working really well, we will be able to. We have a few issues of automation. Like initially, I'm doing all in terms of the nutrition plan. It is based on in terms of you're just looking at specifics for each person. So whether they're what kind of their nutrition preferences are, what their weight range is, so what their portioning should be, and that's
yeah.
all
Yeah.
done manually, and I will do that.
Right.
So we haven't got a way around that yet, except that it's very
Okay.
easy to teach, and we may just have, we've got a few coaches we can use that could just be, employed for a day's work or
Mm,
something.
mm.
But,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
to get some of the manual stuff out of the way. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
few things we haven't worked out, but
yeah, yeah. I'm sure it'll evolve into something exciting. Sounds amazing. Well, good on you for evolving into something. I guess that more and more things are going online. It makes it COVID proof.
yes,
Um,
yeah,
and
God.
yeah, and we all need some of that in our businesses. And once COVID is another thing like flu, you'll still have this amazing business that's scalable to whatever size you want, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, yeah, very exciting. These are the juicy bits. That's why I do this, so that people can pick ideas up and go, hang on a minute, well, how does that, and it just starts them off down a path they may not have thought about otherwise. So thanks for sharing so openly with your plans.
Oh yeah, it's okay. It's one of those things that if someone had told me how big the job would be
Right.
last year, I might not have chosen to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's massive, and I guess you're just kind of looking at the end result. It's cool to put all that work in.
Yeah.
And I guess the other point I see you see all the sort of the online businesses are often built off of social media.
Mm.
So the youngsters kind of have that kind of leg up in terms of they've got really good social platform. They've got the ability to build their social
Yeah.
following.
Yeah.
Then they leverage off that.
Yeah.
But one thing I think to be aware of is that every single one who you see who may have 500,000 followers now and is leveraging their business from that, they've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, look at the backstory. Yoga with Adrienne, she's like 12 years.
Yeah.
Well, there's this blog Pilates woman, and she's, she looks barely older than 25, but she's been doing it for 10 years. She's in her 30s. She's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
But, so there's this backstory of really hard slog to often get to the point where we sort of go, oh, God, it's bloody easy, doesn't it?
Yeah. You're right. And I mean, that's the same with so many other businesses or even like pop stars, those, film, actors, those sorts of things, they're unheard of, and then they make it. And that making it point is not a specific point in time. It's the fact that they've got the cumulative work behind them that has achieved, it's not like the 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell talks about, isn't it? It's an accumulation of effort, not a one deal thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And there really are not many shortcuts, if any.
No, and neither with other business, online or in place. It does take a long time, to build up your reputation in terms of even, if you're working as a private trainer.
Yeah.
Again, there's years of networking and work that goes into building a solid client following.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's been phenomenal. And then, yes, I've got to that point where I've gone, run out of questions. Not literally, but yes. So I was going to pick your brains about tips. I mean, I think you've shared probably a whole bunch of different tips, but and we talked about mentors and those sorts of things. Are any other insights that have worked for you over the years that you thought, actually, that was a good thing that I did or keep doing?
Understanding numbers.
My favorite, yes.
Understanding finances and the numbers, and then also being, or perhaps having someone, if you need it, to hold you to that as well. That was, critical. Certainly when you scale up a bit in terms of taking on a lease and taking on staff. I mean, that's probably the big step, right? From being an individual practitioner to taking on staff. That's probably the scariest step that needs to be really, really well thought through. That is probably not ever thought through enough. Because the scale that needs to happen and your handle on finances has to be awesome. Or you have to have someone with you who is awesome at it. Someone's got to stop you. It's just that thing of, we get so excited, I think, because we see all the things we can do. You want to buy all the equipment and get all this and do this and do this, and get all the best coaches, and maybe you and your buddies want to, you just have this idea of this wonder place. But the thing that will break you will be the expenses and just never being able to make it above, just getting by.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's good.
horrible, but it's true.
Yeah. Well, as you said, we do these courses and there's such a small emphasis on the business element and such a large emphasis on the technical. And we walk away with all these exciting skills and then go, oh, how do I make this actually happen and how do I manage it ongoing?
Yeah, and which you just then have to kind of bumble your way through.
Yeah, sometimes you make a few mistakes along the way, and that's why getting a mentor helps to skip some of those steps, I reckon.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
What are you reading at the moment? What sort of stuff do you enjoy getting your, obviously, researching your nutrition and those sorts of things, but is there anything that you particularly enjoy reading or are reading?
I mean, besides mostly when I read for relaxation.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think, like, what have I read interestingly from?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, besides just articles and things that come up, which I do treat as work, so I try to make sure I'm researching on work time.
Yeah.
Not a big one, otherwise I can get too excited, so I need to make sure I turn the work off and then read,
Yes.
fiction.
Yes. Yeah.
If I read non-fiction for relaxation, it doesn't work. I get too excited. Yeah, no, just lots of getting information. I tend to get a lot of my reading and information and then follow, pathways down from maybe people that I follow and reading their articles or research that they're posting and things like that. And it's mostly around menopause for me at the moment.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Okay. Fantastic. Again, that's just part of that journey, isn't it? It's the evolution of the business and the person who's in charge.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And I think also, it's another key is realizing that this huge market that is possibly older than a lot of people getting into this business, like a lot older. But the market that's got the money is primarily over 40, and we're getting older and we're staying active and we're wanting to stay active. And I think there's a massive lost kind of target there. I know for myself, even so I've just been popping around different gyms and things, and there's really nothing for the kind of people that I coach. Just wouldn't manage at any of the gyms around me, like just wouldn't, unless they were seeing trainers.
Wow.
It's just so out of scale. It's great for 20s and 30 somethings, and for you and me, fine in terms of that. But for the majority of people who I see, the level of movement is pretty it's quite low, like their ability, and when they just freak out, so they go straight out. So yeah, I think there's this massive uncatered market of older people who are wanting to be fit and active, but are just not catered to, and they're getting lost. So
yes, definitely. Brilliant. I like it. And there you go. It's a top tip. Get out there and find a facility or set up a facility for those people and you'll be in the money.
The oldies.
Yeah.
Relate to them as well though, right?
Plenty of disposable income, plenty of time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Brilliant. Well, we can probably need to wrap it up there and call it a day. It's been fantastic talking, and thank you so much for sharing with the listeners with all of your wisdom and tips and things that you've learned over the years. It's been really, really great chatting. So thanks a lot, and see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers.